Nice. So picture the scene. It's a Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. sharp.
Yep.
You're at your desk. You've got the laptop open, maybe your phone out too, just as a backup. And you're staring at a queue number. You're refreshing. You're praying that little man walks across the screen. You were trying to get those tickets.
The digital battleground. It's the modern Coliseum before you even get to the Coliseum.
It is a battleground. And then, boom, you get them. You're in. Maybe it's that sold-out Angels game against the Dodgers, the Freeway Series, or, I don't know, a massive concert at the Honda Center you've been waiting for.
Right.
The adrenaline is pumping. You're texting your friends. You are going.
And that feeling right there, that moment of confirmation, that is the peak. That's probably the highest point of happiness you will feel regarding this event for a very long time.
Wow, that is grim. You're saying it's all downhill from the purchase.
Well, think about what happens like 48 hours before the event. The reality sets in. We call it logistics dread. You start doing that mental math. Okay, show starts at 8, but doors are at 7. Traffic on the 57 is going to be, a parking lot by 5:30. Parking itself takes, 40 minutes just to find a spot?
And suddenly that excitement just turns into a puzzle. You're not thinking about the music or the first pitch. You're thinking about brake lights and blind spots.
It's the universal tax on fun. You pay for the ticket with money, but you pay for the attendance with your own stress.
And a lot of times, that tax is higher than the ticket price.
Exactly.
Well, today we are trying to repeal that tax, or at the very least, find a massive loophole in the tax code. We're looking at a stack of research centered around a very specific, very high-traffic corridor, Orange, California, to the big Anaheim stadiums. We are doing a deep dive into what our source material calls elite event transportation.
And looking at the source material we have, specifically detailed guide from a local provider, Limo Service Orange, the goal here isn't just to talk about fancy cars.
No.
If you think this is just about showing off in a stretch limo, you're kind of missing the point. This is about how locals are, hacking the system.
Right. The mission today is to figure out how to get from Orange to Anaheim without completely losing your mind. We are talking about reclaiming the night out.
I think what stands out to me in this material is the framing. We often think of private transportation as a luxury good, like, buying a designer watch.
Sure.
But this guide frames it as a logistical strategy. It uses this phrase that really stuck with me: control over chaos.
Control over chaos. That's a strong promise. Because if you've ever been to the Platinum Triangle, that area where Angel Stadium and the Honda Center sit, chaos, is a pretty accurate description. It feels like the center of a vortex.
It's a funnel. You have tens of thousands of people trying to pour into a tiny spout at the exact same time. And the infrastructure, as big as it is, it just can't handle the surge.
So let's unpack that, because on a map, if I'm looking at Orange and I'm looking at Angel Stadium and Anaheim, they're neighbors.
Right next to each other.
They're right there. If you aren't from the area, you might think, what's the big deal? It's just down the road. It's a 10-minute drive.
And that is the deception of proximity. The source material makes a really important distinction here. It talks about the difference between daily driving and event driving.
Okay, break that down for me. I'm a daily driver. I know my route to the store. I know which lane moves faster on Chapman Avenue.
Right. Daily driving is predictable. You know that at 3 p.m., Catella is busy, but it's moving. You know the rhythm. But event driving is a totally different beast. You're introducing thousands of unpredictable variables into a tiny area. The source highlights that Angel Stadium and the Honda Center are two of the busiest venues in the entire region.
And the guide points out something I hadn't really thought about. They often overlap. It's not one or the other.
Yes, and that is the nightmare scenario. You could have a baseball game starting at 7 and a huge concert at the Honda Center starting at 8.
And they're practically across the street from each other.
Exactly. So you have two massive gravity wells just sucking cars in from every direction. The 5, the 57, the 22, everything just locks up.
In that scenario, proximity doesn't equal speed.
No, proximity just means you're closer to the gridlock. If you live in Orange, you're right on the border of the event zone. You aren't driving on a road anymore. You're just sitting in a queue.
The source lists some specific friction points. Obviously, congestion is number one. But it also talks about the parking structures. I feel like there's a specific anxiety related to seeing a lot full sign.
Oh, it's a primal fear. It's the sunk cost of your time. You spend 20 minutes inching toward a lot that you think is open.
Right. You saw a gap through the fence.
You saw a gap. You get to the attendant, they wave that orange baton, and you have to turn around. Now you have to re-enter this hostile flow of traffic to find another lot that's even further away.
And meanwhile, the opening act is already on stage. You can hear the bass thumping from the car, but you're stuck in traffic.
Precisely. That disconnect is just painful. But the source argues that the arrival, as stressful as it is actually the easy part.
How can that be the easy part? I'm already sweating just talking about it.
Because the exit strategy, or more accurately, the lack of one.
Ugh, the exodus. The great escape.
Well, think about the dynamics. When you arrive, people trickle in over, what, 2 or 3 hours?
Sure, some come for batting practice, some come right at the first pitch. It's a bell curve.
It's manageable. But leaving, the second that encore ends or the final out is made, everyone leaves at the exact same second. It's not a trickle, it's a dam breaking.
And everyone is tired, everyone is angry, everyone just wants to be home.
And this is where that daily driving mindset fails you again. You pull up your navigation app, right? Waze or Google Maps is going to save you.
Of course, I do what the blue line tells me. It's my religion.
But the source points out that those apps, they don't always account for venue flow. The algorithm sees a road that looks open on the map. It doesn't know that police have put up temporary barricades and are forcing all traffic to turn right.
Ugh, that is such a frustrating feeling. Your phone says turn left, the cop says turn right, and now you're just driving into the void.
An app sees a road, a local sees a trap. That's the difference.
So naturally, we've all developed this reflex. We say, okay, I won't drive, I'm smart, I'll just take a ride share. Problem solved, right?
You would think so. And for, a random Tuesday dinner, yeah, it works perfectly. But for a major event, the source material devotes a whole section to what it calls the rideshare trap.
The trap. That sounds ominous.
It's purely economic and logistical. It breaks down into 3 things. The first one we all know, surge pricing.
Oh, the horror, that little lightning bolt icon.
It's supply and demand in its most brutal form. You pay $20 to get there. Seems reasonable. But when the concert ends, demand just spikes.
And suddenly that $20 ride home is $80 or $100.
Oh, easily. I've seen it hit triple digits for short distances. But the guide argues the price isn't even the worst part. It's the chaos factor of the pickup zones.
I have been there. It's usually some gravel lot in the back. You're standing there with 500 other people. Everyone's staring at their phones, holding them up.
Like lighters at a concert trying to get a signal.
Yeah. And you're looking for a white Toyota Camry, and so are 50 other people.
And the driver's calling you saying, I'm here, and you're saying, I'm here. But you're in 2 different places. You're waving at strangers. It's awkward.
It's so awkward.
That is exactly the friction the source highlights. It's the uncertainty. And during peak exit times, availability can just dry up completely. You might wait 30 minutes just for a driver to accept the ride.
So you're just standing in a parking lot, smelling exhaust fumes, watching your bank account drain, and your phone is at like 4%.
That is the definition of the rideshare trap. You have 0 control.
Okay, so let's pivot to the alternative, this luxury limo service model. And when we say limo, are we talking about the, prom-style stretch Hummer?
Not necessarily, though those exist if that's your thing. We're talking about private car service, sedans, SUVs, sprinter vans. And this goes back to that idea of control over chaos. When you book a private service, you lock in 3 things that rideshare can't guarantee. A vehicle, a driver, and a timeline.
The timeline part seems crucial.
It is. Predictability is the value here. You aren't hunting for a car. It's there. It's waiting for you. But I think the most interesting point the source makes is about human intelligence.
Not AI drivers yet, then.
Not yet. The source emphasizes the value of professional drivers who know the area intimately. Unlike an app driver who might be from another city, just following a GPS line, these drivers understand the drop-off nuances.
Okay, give me an example of a nuance. What does a pro know that Waze doesn't?
So a pro driver knows which lane at the Angel Stadium entrance gets bottlenecked by all the rideshare drop-offs, and they avoid it. They know how to approach from the side streets in Orange to avoid the main freeway exit that backs up for miles.
So it's tactical. It's almost like having a local guide, not just a chauffeur.
That's a great way to put it. It removes the cognitive load from you. You don't have to navigate. You just have to exist.
I want to talk about who is actually doing this because, again, the stereotype is this is for the super wealthy. If I'm just a regular person going to a game, is this even for me?
It's significantly broader than you'd think. The source breaks it down into a few demographics. First, you've got your sports fans, specifically the diehards.
That makes sense. You want to focus on batting practice, not fighting with a parking meter or circling Lot C for 20 minutes.
Exactly. It's about preserving the headspace of being a fan. Then you have the concert goers. And the source highlights a very specific factor here. the late ending.
Oh, for sure. Concerts go late, you've been standing for 3 hours, you've sung your lungs out. The last thing you want to do is navigate freeway traffic at midnight.
There's a genuine safety and fatigue element there. You can just shut your eyes and relax.
But I think the most compelling use case in the guide, and this is where the math really starts to make sense for me, is groups and celebrations.
This is where the logistics argument just shines.
The togetherness factor.
Think about it. You have 8 people going to a game for a birthday. If you drive, that's what, 3 cars?
Minimum, yeah.
So now you have to coordinate 3 arrivals. Someone gets stuck at a light, someone parks in the wrong lot. You spend the first 20 minutes just trying to find each other. I'm by the big hat. Which big hat?
It's like herding cats.
Precisely. And if you take Uber, you need 2 or 3 Ubers. Again, you're all split up. The source presents private transport, like a Sprinter van, as a way to consolidate that into one unit. It's a military operation versus a chaotic scramble.
I like that. Instead of 3 chaotic cars, it's one mobile living room. You can play your own music, you can actually talk.
And they mention it solves the designated driver issue naturally, which is huge. No one has to be the martyr drinking water all night.
So say we're sold. We want control over chaos. The guide doesn't just say book a car. It actually outlines a strategy.
It does. It's not just about the vehicle, it's about the plan. The source breaks this down into an arrival strategy and a departure strategy.
Let's start with arrival. What's the secret?
The key is pretty simple, but often ignored. Arrive early. Even with a private driver, you can't teleport through a solid wall of cars.
Noted. No teleportation included.
Not yet. The source advises building in buffer time. If kickoff is at 7, aim to beat the drop-off by 6:15. Avoid that peak crush.
Okay, that makes sense. What about departure? Because we established that's the real nightmare.
The guide recommends establishing a planned pickup point beforehand.
Beforehand, can't I just text the driver when I walk out?
You can try, but you've got 50,000 people all trying to upload videos and call their rides at the exact same time.
The bandwidth crunch. The spinning wheel of death.
Cell service often just crashes. If you have to call your driver to say, "Where are you?" you might not even get through.
So the strategy is analog, old
Yeah.
school.
If you have a pre-agreed spot, we'll meet at the corner of Catella and Main by the big palm tree. You eliminate that dependency on tech. You just walk there, the car is there.
That is such a pro tip. Don't rely on the signal, rely on the plan.
Exactly.
The source also goes into the vehicle fleet. It seems like size matters here.
It does. Sedans are best for couples or solo travelers. Then you have SUVs for small groups, a bit more comfort. But for the larger groups, those birthday parties, they point towards things like Sprinters or stretched SUVs. Keep everyone in one vessel.
And there's an interesting note about extended plans, how clients use this to chain events together.
This is where luxury meets efficiency. Say you want dinner first, then the game, maybe drinks after.
If you drive yourself, that's a logistics nightmare.
It is. You park at the restaurant, pay. Drive to the stadium, pay again, walk miles, leave, find parking again. It's exhausting.
It breaks the flow of the night. Every time you get back in the driver's seat, the vibe just dies.
With a private service, you're dropped at the door. Picked up at the door, dropped at the gate, picked up at the gate. It creates a seamless evening. The transition becomes part of the fun, not a chore.
It stitches the night together.
Exactly. You're paying for fluidity.
Now, we are doing a deep dive on a specific source here, and I want to give credit where it's due. The guide we're analyzing comes from Limo Service Orange.
Right. And they're located at 3221 East Chapman Avenue in Orange.
Which, if you know the area, is a really strategic spot. Chapman is a main artery.
Very central. It puts them right in the corridor we're discussing. They're local to the gridlock.
The guide gives a how-to for booking, which I found helpful. They suggest starting with special event transportation as the category when you inquire.
That's an important distinction. You aren't just booking a taxi. You're booking a service tailored for an event.
And checking the fleet page.
Right. Don't just guess. Look at the vehicles. It sounds basic, but how many times have we tried to squeeze 5 people into a car meant for 4? It's miserable.
Right, too many times.
Avoid that.
The source also has some FAQs that I think address the skeptics. One question stood out: is it worth it for sold-out events?
And the answer they give is compelling. They argue that a sold-out event is exactly when it is most worth it.
Counterintuitive, maybe. You'd think with more traffic, it's harder for everyone.
But if the stadium is half empty, parking is easy. Traffic is light. You might not need this. When capacity is at 100%, that is when the friction is highest. That's when the lots fail. That's when surge pricing hits 5x.
That's a good principle. The value of the solution scales with the size of the problem.
Precisely. You don't need a lifeboat when the water's calm. A sold-out game is a traffic storm.
Another FAQ is about return pickups. Can they be scheduled?
And the answer is yes, usually coordinated based on event end times. This goes back to that human intelligence. A good service knows roughly when the game will end. They know baseball is faster now with the pitch clock, but they can also adjust if it goes into extra innings.
That flexibility is key. You don't want to leave in the bottom of the ninth, bases loaded, just because your driver has another gig.
Right. And that's the difference. The rideshare driver doesn't care about the game. They care about their turnover rate. A private driver is there for you.
So what does this all mean? We've looked at the geography, the nightmare of the rideshare trap, and the strategy of private transport.
I think the summary is that private transportation just changes the tone of the whole evening. It moves it from stressful to relaxing. It removes the variables.
You are buying peace of mind.
You are. And that brings me to a thought for our listeners to mull over. We often look at the price tag of a limo or private car, maybe it's a few $100s, and we think, that's expensive.
Because we compare it to the price of gas, right? It only costs me $5 in gas to drive there.
Exactly. That's the direct cost. But we rarely calculate the hidden costs of the alternative.
What do you mean by hidden costs?
I mean the cost of your time and your mood. Think about it. If you spend the first 30 minutes of a concert angry because you had to walk a mile from some sketchy parking lot, and you spend the last 30 minutes of the show checking your watch, worrying about catching an Uber before the surge hits, have you really experienced the event?
That's deep. You paid for the expensive ticket, but you didn't get the full experience because your brain was just occupied with logistics.
Exactly. You were physically there, but mentally you were still in traffic. Maybe the luxury option is actually the value option when you place a higher value on your own time and your own enjoyment.
That is a really powerful way to look at it. It's an investment in the memory of the night. You want to remember the home run, not the argument you had about parking.
Ideally, yeah. We pay for convenience in every other part of our lives. Food delivery, streaming. Why do we torture ourselves with event parking?
Well, for our listeners in the Orange County area, the source for today's deep dive was Limo Service Orange. You can find them on Facebook or visit them over on Chapman Avenue if you want to start planning your strategy for the next Angel Stadium or Honda Center trip.
Definitely worth checking out the fleet page before your next group outing. It might be surprisingly affordable if you split it 6 ways.
Absolutely. Stop herding cats, stop refreshing the Uber app, and start planning your strategy. That's it for this deep dive. We will catch you on the next one.
Drive safe, everyone. Or, better yet, let someone else drive for you.